Okay guys, appreciate you coming to check out this video. This one's actually going to go over our two variants of our shifters for the CD009 conversion. We have a front mounted version which mounts in the front service cover, and we have a rear mounted version which is similar to most of what the competition offers, which will mount to the tail housing. Now, some of the basic features on this is we kind of evaluated and looked at some of the other shifters that were on the market, not just for the CD009, but for also other transmissions. And I took a couple features that I like from some shifters, eliminated ones that I didn't like, and I came up with one that actually runs what you see currently. It's gonna be a spherical base bearing in the center for a pivot, which is actually housed inside this machine Delrin unit. Now, the reason we actually did this is it gives a really solid feel with once everything's assembled, and the Delrin outer housing is actually larger than what we've seen in some of the competition. So this thing actually centers and rides true without a lot of play. As you can see, I'm wiggling this around. You don't hear any noise in comparison to how loose some of the other shifters, and it just makes for more positive feedback, I feel. Some of the other units were really small, or the Delrin was actually mimicking what the spherical bearing was, versus we actually housed the spherical bearing inside of the larger Delrin unit. Now, on the bottom of this, it's running a factory Nissan S chassis, S13, S14, 240SX bushing. So if you wear this out or it pops off, or you want to upgrade to a brass one, all you got to do is find one for a S13 or S14 or 240SX, and you're back in the game. This is the primary housing. This is actually modular, and it's the same for both the front and the rear mounted base plates. We made it modular so it's easier for turnaround and assembly, and I have to stock less parts. So it really keeps the product on the shelf, and it replenishes the product when we're out. And since it's shared between the two, it's really a lot easier for me to keep up with, and makes it for a better product overall for you guys. Now, the spring that's in these is actually a factory Nissan control spring from the CD009. There's a receiver groove underneath the bottom. The bearing, once during the prep cycle, is actually machine contoured and pinned so that it doesn't spin 360 degrees like a normal spherical would. And then there's a set of grooves here. Now, we carry a singular pin on the bushing that will line up with either of these two grooves. But the main thing is, once you're assembling or reassembling, if you're servicing it, you want to make sure that the reverse lockout pin points towards the threaded holes. And that's pretty much that. And now that's going to be the same. Now these holes point towards the right because the reverse lockout tab is on the right. So for instance, on the rear mount, now I would drop this on, drop it through. That starts your assembly. I'm not going to thread this all the way down since I'm going to take it apart to show you something else. Now, the reverse lockout tab, a lot of guys are kind of confused because it doesn't come on here. The reason it doesn't come on here is because I actually want you to adjust it. Guys get it, leave it where it is, and then they call, oh, it's not going in the, it doesn't want to go in the 6. Well, the issue is you probably left it at whatever position it was snugged down on when the item was packaged. So I stopped putting it together. Now, how that goes, you're gonna get the socket head Allens, then the 2 steel washers, then the spacer. You're gonna thread that down. I like to snug it because it actually makes it easier to do the other side. I swing it out, drop the bolt through, slide the 2 washers up, slide the spacer, swing it back over, push the bolt up a little bit, everything's retained in together. It's real simple. Now, the reason I say it has to be adjusted, once on the transmission, either shifter, you're going to want to get the shifter into 5th or 6th gear, does not matter. Now, once it's in 5th or 6th gear, you're going to push the tab over. So I'll mimic this. So we're going to slide the tab over till it touches, and then you're going to tighten everything up. So how that prevents now from you going into reverse. If you have ever taken apart and looked at the factory CD009 shifter, it's the same style of mechanical stop. So the reverse lockout function works by pushing this down so you're able to get over and underneath the limiter tab, and then you can get it into reverse. So the problem a lot of you guys were having is it's out of the box. It might have been positioned a little bit too far in and tightened down and shipped. You guys just put it on the transmission and then, hey, I can't get it into fifth or sixth and I'm getting emails and calls. So that's why I stopped putting it on there. So that's all you got to do. Get it on the transmission, put it in fifth or sixth gear, slide this over against the tab and tighten it down. And that's it. Your adjustment's done. You're ready to boogie. As far as setting up the rear mount shifter, what you're going to notice is you would have been sent a pair of spacers of 2 different thicknesses. Now you say, hey, why am I have to add spacers? Why couldn't you just have machined it? Well, because of the same thing we just mentioned about the varying height on the shaft selector, shaft running through the housing. That's the reason why it's easier for us to compensate and not drive up the cost, because this much could probably add easily $30 to the price of the shifter by integrating it into the legs itself. So it's a lot more affordable to do it out of a thinner piece, machine it down to the varying heights. But typically these socket head Allens drop through there and they go onto the tail housing. Now, the reason for the spacers, and I'm going to show you why for a quick example, is this one, for instance, I just dropped both of them on there, not setting them up anyway. But once we actually have the linkage coupler placed on here, when you drop the actual entire shifter down onto this, because like I said, you have varying heights, you're gonna want this pivot ball and the bushing to sit right into the, hold on, oh, here we go.